Listen to me very carefully. I want to present the moment you've been waiting for.
Geek'd Radio.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Geek'd Up Radio, your number one unsubscribed, unedited, heavily edited, independent, indie, underground, unrecognized podcast. Right, that's right. I'm Ricky, the Jolly Rancher Commander. Lalo's not in the office today or in the studio, either one. And so I have a guest today. We have Ricky Stillman from Pop Collectors Alliance podcast, and he's here to talk to us about pop collecting, Funko Pops, and about Red Dead Redemption, because I found out we both play, and now we're going to play together. We're going to start a posse. We're going to be awesome. We're going to regulate on people. Yeah. So Ricky, regulators, mount up. You know what I'm saying? So Ricky, why don't you tell us a little bit about these Funko Pops, your show and stuff like that, and let us know what's going on with that, man.
All right, well, we run a show called the Pop Collectors Alliance podcast, and it's primarily dedicated to returning collecting to the pop collector. And a big reason why we created the show was at the end of 2017, I had a run-in with what we call flippers or scalpers in the wider collecting community. It's basically people that purchase things for retail, mark it up 100, even 1,000%, and sell it back to collectors. What we wanted to do is sort of empower collectors with some information to help them combat flippers. And we always say, you know, you're entering the no-flip zone when you listen to the podcast or you consume any of our content, because collecting pops, just like collecting anything else, is very hard, sometimes impossible to get figures that you want. So we want to help collectors and get them the information they need to obtain those items or any other collectibles that they're looking for in the Funko community. And if you don't know what pops are, they're made by a company called Funko. They're 3.75-inch figures that really encapsulate pop culture. Now, they've spanned licenses across DC, Marvel, Disney, sports, video games, just pop culture in a 3.75-inch figure. And they've done a great job. I mean, I have a collection that's amassed over, I'd say, 2,000 pieces now, so in the time that I've collected for about 7 years. So we really wanted to take the body of knowledge that me and my co-host have, Piper, and give that back to the community so that they are, in fact, empowered to beat flippers.
Oh, wow. Let me ask you a question, man. What do you do with these toys or not collectibles? What do you do with these collectibles? I'm sorry, I don't. Are they toys?
Yeah, it's okay. It's some people consider them toys, right? I know people that give these figures to their kids to play with, and that's fine. I mean, they're collectible figures, but primarily what I do is display them. They're all over my house in every nook and cranny, and just things that I'm passionate about. Like I have the main collections that I have are Dragon Ball Z and Game of Thrones, because it's stuff that I like, right? I want to collect the things that I'm passionate about. I have smaller pieces like the Big Lebowski. I've got a small set like that. My wife, she collects Harry Potter. But these collections amass. They come out with new figures all the time. And I think my Game of Thrones collection is up in the high double digits. Eventually it will cross into the triple digits.
Wow.
I know my wife's Harry Potter collection. I think they have like 70 couple figures in that. So you can see how it can get out of control very quickly.
You know what you could do with them one day? Once you have, like, especially the Game of Thrones, one day you should do like a stop motion animation of like the Red Wedding, but using all your pop collector items. Wouldn't that be awesome? Or would that ruin the value? I mean,
no, well, I don't take those out of the box, especially the higher priced items. And unfortunately, like Rob Stark's worth $100.
What?
And yeah, I'm trying to think of. They don't have Catelyn Stark yet, which is one that I wish they would have put together. Some of those, Bruce Bolton, they don't have a figure for. I'm trying to think of people at the Red Wedding. The Freys, they don't have any of the Freys.
Well, I guess you could do like a Marvel, like the Starks could be Marvel, and DC could be like the Boltons and the Freys, and then
Just substitute. Oh man,
man, yeah, you could call it like the comic book movie Red Wedding. Because DC's mad at Marvel for being so successful, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I think DC. I saw Aquaman. I don't know if you saw that movie.
I'm gonna see it tomorrow.
But you haven't seen it yet?
I haven't seen it. Is it good?
I will say that it was better than what I had anticipated. Because I went by myself. I was like, asked my wife and my kids, "Do you guys want to go?" And they were like, "Nah, not really." And so I went and watched it, and I expected something terrible, but it did not disappoint in that regard.
Really?
If I gave it a rating, I'd say it's probably like a 6 out of 10.
Well, on this show we give sevens. Seven is the maximum because of Final Fantasy VII. You know what that is, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. That's why you're on this show. Okay, then. So out of 7 Final Fantasy VIIs, how many do you give it?
I would give it like a 4.5.
A 4? Oh, okay. That's pretty good. Right there in the middle.
It's decent. I mean, it's worth, with the special effects in there, it's definitely worth going to see in theaters.
Uh-huh.
But James Wan was the director. I don't know if you know who that is. He directed the titles are slipping from my what's the movie where they lock people up and tell them to Saw.
Shawshank.
Saw.
Oh.
No, Saw.
Okay.
Saw. The movie Saw, and he did Fast and Furious. He's a very good director. He produces most of the Conjuring movies and all of that line of movies, Insidious.
Okay.
So he did this, and he did a decent job with not a lot there. He's basically creating the backstory of Aquaman in this movie. And Jason Momoa is not a great actor, but he does Aquaman well. So
that he does. I did enjoy him in Justice League more than everybody else. Yeah. So yeah, I look forward to kind of seeing it tomorrow. I'm gonna take my wife and a friend, and we're gonna check it out. My hopes aren't high, but because the last episode we did with Lala, we had to apologize because we're ragging on it really bad, saying that it was gonna flop, that it flopped and stuff. But it made
it didn't flop.
It made like $822 million, and I'm like, oh god.
Yeah, especially in China, it killed. When I saw it, I was stunned that it was keeping up with Wonder Woman in the amount of money that it's been making.
Yeah.
And then worldwide, it's just killing it. Worldwide, it's made over $600 million. I'm looking at it right now, $846 million.
Yeah, dude, that's crazy money, man.
Yeah, no, $261 million in China. And I'm thinking to myself, I was like, well, I don't know, because they spent a lot of money on it, especially with all the special effects you'll see tomorrow. And I think that's always a good thing. That's what I always tell people. It may be a bad rule of thumb, but you should go into a movie thinking it's going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Because every movie I've went into thinking it was going to be terrible, they've all held a special place in movies for me. One of the most memorable was Zombieland with Woody Harrelson.
Yeah.
When we went to the theaters, my wife and I, and we were going there to watch another movie. I forget what movie it was, but the movie was not until a later time. And we had a time frame, you have kids to get back to. So we were like, well, we'll watch something else. And I go, how about we watch Zombieland? And I was like, it has Woody Harrelson. I don't know how good that would be. We went in and we totally enjoyed the movie. And to this day, I love that movie.
Yeah, that is a great movie, man. I look forward to part 2. Whatchamacallit? So with all this, Aquaman hype, you know what I'm thinking, man? Welcome to the Aquaman Popcast. We talk nothing but Aquaman and Jason Momoa on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, honky, 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 honky. You know what I'm saying?
There you go. And then next year, this year now, because it is January, this year at Fan Expo Dallas, Jason Momoa is going to be there. So you can just start the podcast and go get your first interview.
First guest on the show, Jason Momoa, the Aquaman. What's up, man? He'll be like, Drogo.
Yeah.
Dude, yeah. Yeah, man, that's just a lot of money. Yeah, so we had to apologize to everybody. So, yeah. So, anyways, back to something else.
Well, I mean, just speaking about the Aquaman, they came out with every new release in movies, as long as Funko has the license, they'll put out figures. And they do all kinds of special figures, especially for Aquaman They did a Regal Cinemas exclusive unmasked Black Manta. So
Oh, really?
you had to, buy tickets to the movie and pick them up at a Regal Cinemas, which doesn't, or maybe it was Cinemark. No, I think it was Regal. But you had to go, and a lot of people just went. They didn't want to see the movie just to get that pop because they're just pop collectors, in general. But they do all kinds of neat things with new releases. They had some Walmart exclusives, and by exclusives, they're only sold at that retailer. So Funko does a great job of getting ahead of the game. Sometimes they miss the mark. For Avengers last year, they did a Hulk busting out of the Hulk Buster, and that never happened in the movie. But it was a cool pop, but it never happened.
Oh, see, I wonder if that was like part of the marketing, so people wouldn't see the twist in the Infinity Wars, or was that after the movie came out?
That actually released as the movie was releasing. That pop. So I guess it was something from the cutting room floor. They have to meet with him.
Oh, do they?
On some things, I guess. I mean, I know that for The Mummy, the Tom Cruise remake of The Mummy.
Yes.
They made his pop, and he made them cancel it.
Really?
So, yes, he was not satisfied with it. So it's I forget his name's Nick something in that movie.
He was like, it doesn't have 3 front teeth.
Well, I have a lot of respect for Tom Cruise, even though he can be a little crazy about stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, one thing that we said on my old podcast, Scream at the Screens, was that Tom Cruise never has made a bad movie.
No.
In the sense of box office, or even in general. Like, you couldn't say the movie was rated a 2. Now, I didn't think Mummy was rated like a 3 or a 2 on a scale to 10. In yours, in that case, it's a 7. It would be a 1 or a 2. But a lot of people did think that movie was terrible. So terrible that they canceled. They were going to do the Monsters universe all over again, and they canceled it because of that movie.
Yeah.
So
the movie was really bad, though.
It was. I rated a 4.
A 4? That's really high, man.
Yeah, well, because here's my opinion on that.
All right,
give it
to me.
When I break a movie down, I don't just break it down by just the overall movie is a 4. I go, okay, well, the cinematography was not that bad in that movie. The special effects weren't that bad in that movie. The things that were bad were the way the plot and the storyline, sort of the flow of the movie, as you'd bounce back and forth, and they didn't have a lot of build up or investment into characters in that movie. So if you remember the old movie with Brendan Fraser, right, that Mummy that they did, that was so good because they had such a slow build across a couple of movies, and you really got into the backstory of the Mummy, and they did a good job of encapsulating that and tying that into the plot. And this one, it was just like, we got to fight a mummy and whatever. I get these powers at the end. Like, I don't understand that conceptually.
Yeah.
So for that reason, special effects and everything bumped it up, but I can't get it past a 4.
Wow.
And also, because the movie was so terrible, he canceled his pop, which they did ship out a small shipment. I think it's got to be below 500 of those pops in existence, and they're all worth like $400 or $500 a piece.
Wow.
So, yeah, exactly.
Wow. Because listening to your show, I've heard that the Funko will how they fight the bots from like buying up the entire stock or something like that. They like put out like a fake image or something like that, and it turns out to be for something else or something like that.
Yeah. One of the things that they do, so bots operate on many different ways. So there's this thing called CAPTCHA. Everyone probably knows what that is. It pops up when you check out sometimes, and it says, click a picture of all the stop signs, or click a picture of all the cars, and we all hate that, right?
Yeah.
Or type this word in. What are these letters? So that's supposed to be a mechanism for security on bots. Well, it doesn't work anymore. They can bypass that and buy things directly. What they mainly do with bots is they do keyword searches. So when you look at a product on Amazon, or you look at a product on hottopic.com for a pop, it will say the word Supergirl pop on there. And it'll say super-girl-pop. And they on their bot, they type in a list of keywords. So what Funko did is, because they were buying up all the stock, is I forget what the item was that they were releasing. It was an anticipated item during a convention or something along those lines, and people thought they were going to release that ad icon that day. But instead, Funko put all of the keywords and billed it like they were going to release it, but they put a pop in there that no one wanted from like Mad Max, and it sold out immediately. So all these bot guys got hundreds of these, and all sales are final. So you can't
snap!
return anything. Yeah, it was hilarious.
That is hilarious, man. Kudos to them, man. Because I've heard you talk about that before, man. I just think, man, that is amazing, man. I love that they're very active in, trying to counteract that stuff, man. Because, listening to the podcast, flipping and botting is like a big deal, and I just never realized that in the collecting community that was like a problem. I've never even heard about it before, man. Just really ignorant.
And it happens with every community. I mean, if something becomes extremely popular where people are willing to pay a lot of money for it, people will flip. Like the Nintendo Classic, when they first released it, they released so few of them initially. They sold out everywhere, and people were selling for $300 leading up to Christmas a piece.
I saw one on eBay for like $1,000 once.
Yeah, when you do the emulators, when you jailbreak them and you put emulators on there, and you have 500 games,
wow.
Yeah, the people tend to sell them for a little bit more too, and it's just a problem in any collecting market that you have to deal with and find unique ways to get around it. But Funko, for the fans' sake, they do a lot of things in trying to help out fans.
Wow. Let me ask you a really personal question real quick about Funko. What got you interested in it, man? Do you just see like the cute faces and like, I need it, or was it what was it? What got it took you?
Even not even really nostalgia, so to say. Initially, Game of Thrones is what really got me into it, because it's cool to, it's like capturing your childhood in some regards. Like they did the Ninja Turtles, and they have the old Saturday morning like cartoon Ninja Turtles with Donatello and Leonardo, and you get the whole set, and it's like having that to look at on your wall. And just reference it because it's something that growing up, and you have it in this little figure, and it's there. I love the show Game of Thrones. It's probably my favorite show ever, period, ever. But I saw the figures at Barnes & Noble, and we bought a few, and we didn't really know what they would end up being worth, because early in the game they couldn't give these things away, for the first couple of years, but they called on and became popular because once you get more licenses, like what's your favorite movie from the 80s?
From the 80s?
Or favorite show or something that you hold in high regard?
Oh man, it's got to be Ninja Turtles, the animated series, or it's got to be like Conan, He-Man. Yeah.
Okay. So they have all of the He-Man features, Masters of the Universe.
Oh yeah.
So they have those, and they have Conan, like the old Arnold Schwarzenegger Conan, and they have a bloody variant of him.
Oh really?
And they have different variants of him that you see throughout the movie, different outfits. The Ninja Turtles, they actually did 8-bit pops, and they're little square pixelated pops for the video game. So they've done so much stuff with the Ninja Turtles in general. They even have popped rides. So they have the turtle van with Michelangelo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's those little things, because I was a huge collector of the Ninja Turtles toys when I was a kid. Like remember the Ninja Turtles lair?
Yes.
The sewer lair and stuff like that? Yeah. So that's why I love these figures, is because it's kind of like being a little bit of a kid, but not being a kid, because you can say they're collectibles.
Oh, I see. Yeah, because I guess I collect comics, I guess. I don't throw them away after I read them, but I restarted reading comic books again. And
oh, you did?
Yeah, and man, the stories are just, it does bring back a lot of nostalgia and that feeling of, I really miss these characters and what they've been doing. And now I got like, 20 years of backlog that I don't know what's going on. So it's kind of like refreshing, and I don't know. Oh man, it's just amazing. Yeah, I know that feeling, man, that you're talking about, that nostalgic feeling. Makes you feel young again. Makes you feel alive almost. Yeah.
Yeah. Going back to comic books too, it's like You're right, and that's one of the main reasons why I've almost shied away from going back to comic books, is because I feel like that there's a lot of heavy lifting there to catch up. And we were just talking about Venom because we watched Venom. It came on iTunes, and we just watched it recently. And I was trying to think back and remember all the Venom stories from my childhood, and because I was a big Spider-Man fan, and then where it's come since then, and all the other symbiotes, and just how the story gets so heavy after a while, and how they do, cross runs with other Marvel characters, and Venom, and Eddie Brock, and Carnage, and where it's come. I mean, it feels like if I try to go back, I will never catch up.
If you go back, you probably never will. But right now, in my opinion, right now it's a really good time to start reading comic books again. If you plan to ever read them again, because like especially on Marvel, because Marvel does like this new numbering system where they relaunch a comic book every now and then, because they just relaunched the Uncanny X-Men, right? And it started off with a number 1, and it says Uncanny X-Men number 1. But if you look inside, there's a legacy number where it says it's like number 672. So
okay.
So what with the number 1, it'll run for like, I don't know, 30 issues or something like that, and it'll be one complete story that you're like, okay, this is a complete story, and it doesn't it's whatchamacallit, it's clean cut. You don't have to read the other stories behind it to understand what's going on in this story. And a lot of the comic books that I've been picking up from Marvel are that way. I got a lot of number 1s, and I'm like, man, right now is like a really good jumping point, because they're all number 1s out on the shelf right now for the last 2 months, 3 months, and it's like, wow. And they just released Conan number 1 again, and I got it, and I was like, oh my god, it's so thick. I need to read it, so I bought it. Yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, Conan's thick, and dude, I mean, love it. I can't wait for the next issue. But yeah, I mean, if you read comic books, you should check it out.
Yeah, it sounds like they've done a good job of that. I know I have bought comic books recently. I bought the number 800 Spider-Man, the special cover. I got a couple of those variants. And then the one, I think it was the 1000th issue of Superman that they had a while ago, where they had 8 different cover variants, one from each decade of Superman. So it was really awesome.
Oh man, if you like Fantastic Four, you should get to Fantastic Four, because they're on issue 5. And they relaunched it after it being dead for like 14 or 15 years. So they like number 1. I have number 1 Fantastic Four, and
I'm super stoked about Fantastic Four too, because Disney just bought Fox. That merger went through finally. It's finalized today or yesterday, I believe.
Oh really?
And yeah, they just announced it earlier, and I'm interested to see if they can bring back the Fantastic Four, because man, that's been a very hard part of the franchise to put together.
Yeah, it really has. And because the powers, I always thought that the powers and the stories of Fantastic Four was really boring. So when I was a teenager and a kid, I never read Fantastic Four. I'm like, who cares about a Rockman and Invisible Guy and some guy or Invisible Lady and a guy that can stretch, Stretch Armstrong, yay. But so when they came out with the relaunch and the issue number 1, I was like, I read it, I'm like, oh man, this isn't a story about them having superpowers. It's a story about like a relationship between these people. I'm like, oh man, I totally missed the concept of this comic book. It's not like the other ones. And I was like,
and they have great villains. Dr. Doom was a really good villain.
Yeah, I see. I've never read anything. The only thing I ever read was a Dr. Doom was in it. Was like an Onslaught, X-Men Onslaught, and Dr. Doom showed up and he's like, oh, I'm gonna help y'all save the world. And I was like, man, who cares about you, dude?
He's super powerful though. He's one of the most powerful villains out there.
Oh, is he? Man, I have no idea, dude. Never. I just everything Fantastic Four I always avoided like it was kryptonite, dude. But now that I'm on issue 5, Ben Grimm got married. Spoilers. I mean, it was like
spoiler alert.
Yeah, dude. I was like, wow. Well, anyway, yeah. At this point, everybody should know they've been around like 30, 40,000 years. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even Funko there. I mean, Funko, bringing the conversation back to Pop, they have a bunch of comic book characters that they have, and some of their most expensive Pop are actually in those lines. There's Spider-Mans that are worth over $1,000. I mean, you have you have a lot of the old school items that they had up. I mean, I can remember the first things that they came out with were Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern. Those are some of the first pops. So it's heavily rooted in comics.
Oh wow, yeah, man. I'm gonna have to really like look at them because everywhere I go, they are like stacked up wall upon wall of them, and I just ignore them. I'm like, oh, what is this, man? Like they look like little anime characters, those chibis or the chibis or whatever they're called. And
Yeah,
and I'm
I
like,
know what you're talking about. Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, okay, but I'll have to like really just look at them, see if there's anything that looks interesting because yeah, just like the Fantastic Four, it's like kryptonite to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Do
yeah.
you like Spider-Man though?
Spider-Man, man, I don't know. I like the movies, but I'm just not sure on the whole concept of Spider-Man anymore.
I like the character Spider-Man.
Do you really?
I would say in no certain order, top three superheroes for me are Batman and Wolverine and Spider-Man. Those are my three favorite comic book
Batman,
characters.
Wolverine, Spider-Man.
Well, I think that they have complex stories, right? Because Batman has no superpowers. He's just super rich, right? So he has to, and that's a common thread for people. I like Wolverine because, again, he doesn't have great superpowers. He can just heal.
Right.
And the concept of his past and not fully knowing everything and trying to rediscover everything that happened to him in the past and then going back, and Old Man Logan, they have so many great stories in him. And even the last Wolverine, the Logan movie,
it was great.
I hated seeing Wolverine like that, but it was very, I don't know, outside the box because it didn't follow the true Logan story. They referenced the Old Man Logan story a little bit in there.
Right.
But it was a great way to see that character.
Hey, you should pick out the comic books, man, because he just came back to life in the comic books.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say too, leading into that, because I heard he just came back because of the last I saw that he was encased in adamantium on top of a building dying. So
yeah,
interesting to see what happens to him now.
Yeah, if I was like really interested in Wolverine, I'd probably pick him up. I remember being a teenager and loving Wolverine because he was this short, tough guy that everybody thought they could pick on, and it was like me, you know. And and then he just whipped the ass on people, and but not he doesn't appeal to me anymore. My favorite characters are gonna have to be like Cyclops, because I heard that he went bad and got killed, and I'm like, man, I like that story of a tragic hero, you know, somebody who thought they were doing good but ended up doing evil and they end up getting killed or whatever. I like that idea.
Yeah.
That's why I like Magneto, because he thinks he's like the good guy, but overall he's a bad guy with good intentions, and so those are like my two favorite characters, and I was like, wow,
Magneto and Cyclops.
Yeah, Cyclops. Yep, and yeah, nobody likes Cyclops for some reason. I'm like, man, he shoots laser beam out of his eyes. That's awesome.
I like Cyclops in the Saturday morning cartoons.
I
never really read into it in the comics that much, but I mean, the X-Men are so iconic to me because of those Saturday morning cartoons. I still have the whole collection on DVD.
What?
I have, of all the X-Men Saturday morning cartoons.
Oh,
and
wow.
I don't know. I like Magneto too. I think the movies, if they would have been a little bit better when they went back in time to show truly his character and how conflicted he is, that's the newer, those X-Men, Days of Future Past and everything they did before, and with Apocalypse, I don't think they really capture the true character of Magneto as well as they could have.
No.
Because the complexity of what he's experienced and how he applies that to everything, it really adds a unique, a unique storyline to any way that you want to play the X-Men, because that's how he's always making his decisions. He's always conflicted because he loves Professor X and other mutants, but then he has to deal with the mutants that protect humans versus humans that have really objectified him and his family for his whole life.
Right. Yeah, and to take that to the next level, that's the kind of like the story of Apocalypse, and that's why I like Apocalypse so much. And it's like, man, it's just amazing. The whole the whole series or saga of the X-Men and the storyline, that universe is just to me it was always better than the Iron Man, the Avengers stories and stuff like that, and the Fantastic Four. But now that over the last decade, 2 decades, we've had these Marvel movies where there were these characters that nobody knew about or I didn't know about. I So now I judge X-Men a little bit more harshly now that I have more of a connection with Thor, Iron Man, and Black Widow, and Hawkeye, and all of them. So I expect these X-Men comic books to be better than what I've been given for the last 10 years or 15 years with the MCU. So hopefully, so my hopes are pretty high now that Disney has the Fox rights from for the X-Men movies, that they make these characters, they bring them back, and they throw away the garbage that is from 2001 to Days of Future Past to Dark Phoenix, especially. I mean, it's.
Do you think Dark Phoenix is going to be bad?
Yeah, it looks bad, man. It looks like a homemade, not a homemade, but a TV made movie, man. The trailers just look so bad. And
do you see what was that movie that they pulled it from the shelves? It was a mutant movie, but it was supposed to be a horror movie. It was supposed to come out in October.
The New Mutants, wasn't it?
Something like that. But they canceled that whole movie. They took it off the shelves, man. It's just that I think movie companies, production companies, look at this portfolio of the MCU at Marvel/Disney now, and they say there is no way we're going to catch up. When everyone in society says, "Hey, take your time, build up Superman." I think personally, this is my personal opinion, I think the Dark Knight series of Batman is the best comic book trilogy or saga into a movie that there is. Christopher Nolan, and you may say what you will about Christian Bale's Batman, but just the characters that were introduced and the level of the way that it was produced as dark, kind of like DC is,
right,
with the Zack Snyder era, but it wasn't. It was just amazing. I don't know. Nothing beats that for me in movies.
I agree with you.
I think it's just so sad that we can't just. I know you don't need Christian Bale, but you couldn't just at least reference that in the new DC universe and just pull off of it, because all you had to reference off the new DCU was those 2 Superman movies that weren't that great to begin with. They weren't terrible, but they weren't great.
Right. Yeah. When it came to the DCU, I love the DCU because I loved it because it was dark. It was dark and it was gritty, and with like you said, the Nolan movies, Watchmen. It was just I loved it. It was something different from the happy-go-lucky, bubbly, funny slapstick of the MCU, which is that's MCU's deal. Give me something different when I come to the DCU, but apparently nobody liked that dark stuff, and like you said, the dark Zack Snyder era it's apparently it's going to be over because everything seems to be more silly, lighthearted. Aquaman looks that way. I haven't seen it. I'm not sure if it is, but from the trailer, it looks like there's a lot of jokes in it. Shazam looks like it's going to be a silly movie too, and it's like, man, I really like the closely grounded movies. Where the good guys they have their problems. They're not perfect all the time. Things don't always go their way. And sometimes they have to make bad decisions for something good. Like when the Man of Steel, when that came out and Batman had to snap what's his name's neck, Lord Zod or whatever. And General Zod's neck, and everybody was all mad. I'm like, Superman doesn't kill anybody. He killed Zod. I'm like, man, he had to, man. I think that's more. Yeah, I don't know. It gives more depth to the character when they have to go past their limits to do a greater good, where they can't just be. They have to be like an angel with one wing dipped in blood. You know what I'm saying? Like that. It was like,
yeah, I don't. That's what I like about Deadpool. I like characters with the ability to kill people, because if you read comics, I mean, we're not that naive. Some of the stuff that you're doing is killing people. You know what I mean?
Exactly, right.
And those choices have to be made. That's reality. And I think that, that first Superman movie, when they came back, killing Zod was a difficult choice for him to make between protecting the people he loves, the people of Earth, the people that he grew up with, versus someone he doesn't know on his home planet. But it's a villain. You've got to weigh outcomes. You can't just continually throw somebody in prison. I like the way that turned out too.
Yeah. All right, cool. All right, man. Let's move on for the last few minutes to Red Dead Redemption, because I said at the beginning of the episode we're going to talk about that game, and we're 40 minutes in, so let's transition. All right, transition music. Anyways. All right, so I play Red Dead Redemption. You play Red Dead Redemption. But I play it online only, and you play it story mode only?
Story mode only right now, yeah.
Wow, man. And so, and I that's fascinating to me, man. That really is. That you are you scared to play online? Let me ask you that, man.
No, so I just haven't had time over this Christmas break to play it online. It's not that I'm afraid or anything, and I think the story mode, I bought it and went right into it because they didn't have the online game at that point.
Oh.
So I just went and played. And funny story, I have a couple of funny stories from it.
Tell me.
I love everything Rockstar. So Grand Theft Auto, Red Dead Redemption, and those lines of games. Even going back to PlayStation 1, that PlayStation Classic they released, they have the Grand Theft Auto on it, and they have Final Fantasy 7, which are two reasons why I got it. But Rockstar games in general, I don't know. I think they've hit a grand slam with this game as well, because the way that the storyline is played out, and it's kind of, there's things that you do when you go through the game. I like the uniqueness of how bad or good you are. Uh-huh. I tend to lean towards, I wanted to be in the middle, but then I found out you get more rewards if you're either bad or good. Uh-huh. And so I just naturally went bad. and so what's funny is you have a horse in the game. Everybody knows this.
Right.
And you build this bond with your horse, right?
Uh-huh.
And this first horse I had, I pretty much I wanted to play the whole entire game with this horse. I didn't want to get rid of it or whatever. So one day, I think it was a Saturday, I went to sleep. My son goes, "Well, can I play? Is it okay if I play?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, no problem. Go ahead, play. All you need to do is ride from here to here and do this thing." And he rode further than he should, and he went to a town where there were bandits, and they killed my horse. And he didn't wake me up immediately to tell me they killed my horse, so I could just turn off the game and reload it, and I had my horse there. So because he was afraid that he was gonna get in trouble.
Oh man!
So he doesn't tell me. Then it auto saves over it, and so my horse is dead. So they wake me up an hour later. They go, "Dad, I got bad news. I killed your horse." But you killed my horse. You didn't wake me up to tell me that you killed my horse. I wanted that, and I ragged my son for 3 or 4 days because we were watching some movie and they talked about a bond between a father and a son. I said, "Yeah, kind of like the bond between a man and his horse." And I looked over at my son and gave him a death stare. So,
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah, see, so when I play online, right? So I play online because I like the it's not lonely. I like the adventure of not knowing if another player is going to come up behind me and shoot me. And I've told the story before where the first time I was playing online, this guy came up and he tried to lasso me, and he was another player. It was Hawaii-007, and he tried to lasso me several times, and every single time, I shot him in the gut with my cattleman rifle, man. I'm just ba 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 ba, and then eventually, one of the last times, he killed my horse, man. So I had to wait for it to respawn. So so that's when I reacted. I tried to jump on his horse, but then he locked his horse, so it threw me off, and then it was just a full fiasco. So I killed him, and then I ended up killing his horse too, this out of rage, and then I had to run off and wait for my horse to spawn. But I love playing online because it has its own storyline, and you get to make your own character to represent yourself or what you are, or just to be goofy. To me, I always make a character online, whether it's in an MMO or something like that, something that would represent me, right? And a lot of people, they always just pick whatever. And So I find that so much more satisfying to have my own adventure instead of having this static, you know, go to point A, go to point B, go to point C, the end. And
Well, I think they've done a good job this time with having bandits that come up and rob you, or people on the side of the road that you need to help. They really did a lot of stuff. They put a lot of stuff in this game that made that single player story mode not bad, because sometimes you'll just be riding your horse and people will jump out of the bushes and have like a stagecoach and want to rob you and take all your money. And there's like 5 computer characters that are attacking you at once. So they've added that element, which is really interesting. But I mean, I like the side games on Red Dead, and one of the big things I do is like they have catching all the legendary animals, killing them, and my kids like to watch me do it. So we went through and hunted and got the bear, whatever, and I wanted to get the moose, so we went and wanted to hunt for the legendary moose, and you track the creature. That's like 3 or 4 times, and you see it and you shoot it and kill it. But with a moose, it can kill you. So I stayed far away. I killed the moose. And I was like, man, we got the moose, guys. And, you go up and you skin the animals or whatever, get the pelts.
yeah.
And so I went to go up to the moose. I approached the moose to skin the pelts. And a cougar jumps over the moose and bites me on my throat and kills me.
Dude.
And I go, that is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
See, I have several of those stories too, but it's always like a bear or some wolves. I've been killed by the cougar, right? But I've like seen the cougar, but the bears are the ones that like have like snuck up on me, man. One time I thought it was like a player, and I was like, man, I'm gonna kill this guy. and I'm shooting and he's not dying, and then out of the bushes, man, this big old bear just mauls me. And I'm like, oh, and it says you were mauled by a bear. I'm like, no.
Oh, man, I think that's awesome. I love that dynamic of the game. The wolves, the bears, the wildlife that will just jack you up.
Yes, dude. And at first, and there's one thing that at first I thought was really bothersome was like the aspect of eating and resting in the game. But now that I've been playing it for like a month, right? I'm really used to it. And I really enjoy, having to fish or skin an animal to get meat and cook it myself and make sure that I eat all the time. Make sure my horse eats when it needs to eat. And oh man, I don't know. It's just amazing. I just like that idea that, I got to feed my character. It's kind of like a Tamagotchi. You remember those? You got to feed your little keychain, little pocket monster.
Yeah, I got my kid one for Christmas. They did a re-release of them.
Oh, really? Dang.
Yeah.
We'll have to do
I
a
forgot
podcast
how
on
annoying
that.
they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Red Dead is definitely an awesome game. I think the big story that I tell people all the time, and this is a unique story. You know Chris, right? You're related to him, but
yeah.
This ties into this. I'll tell 2 stories real quick. We played Minecraft forever. We were playing Minecraft together, and we were just playing on survival mode the whole time. We didn't even know creative mode existed. And so we were like digging everywhere to build the things that we were building. And we were just so proud of ourselves. And then I talked to someone like, yeah, just go to creative mode. You can do whatever you want. And I was like, oh, such a letdown. But in Red Dead, if you upgrade your camp, you can do like quick travel or whatever it's called. I forget what it's called.
Yeah, quick
You
travel.
can and you can just look at your map and say where you want to go. I did not know that until like 30 hours into the game. I didn't even know you could upgrade your camp.
Oh my goodness, dude.
So stupid. Yeah, I know.
Man, I preach against quick traveling all the time because it breaks immersion, and 2, it costs money. Man, I'm always broke in that game. And man, if you could trade money, I wish Duke, one of the ex-hosts on Middle Age Nerds, also my cousin, you know him, he's got like $300, $400 on his character, and I'm like, man, I wish we had like a trading system. You can give me some money because my character's always broke, man. I'm always buying as much clothes as I can, as much guns as I can, and so my character's always got like a minimum of $50, and until I have to save up.
Is he broke? Is he broke like you? Like that quotation marks broke? Like gold's buried somewhere?
Okay, I'm gonna give you a little hint. When it comes to game money, he's broke, but when it comes to the gold, he's not broke.
So, can you treasure hunt in online gaming too?
Yes, you can. You can randomly find treasure maps off corpses of people that you kill, or if you level up. Yeah, because
so it's similar to the game. Okay, I'm gonna be part of the regulators.
yeah.
I'm joining the gang.
I'll have to text you my my sign in or whatever it is, my gamer tag.
Username,
Yeah,
gamer tag.
yeah. We'll have some fun, some shenanigans. All right, man.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
let me call it there because I got to get to playing some Dungeons and Dragons with the kids.
All right.
All right. So why don't you plug your show? Tell them where they can find it and stuff like that, and social media and stuff.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me again. It's always a joy to come on any show that you're hosting. I really enjoy it, so thank you for that. And then second, you can find anything and everything about Pop Collectors Alliance at collectpops.com. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Pop Alliance Pod. Go to facebook.com/Pop Collectors Alliance. We have tons of great articles on our website. Everything is geared to help out pop collectors and strategies in finding things and just opinion articles about funny stuff. And we try to have fun on the podcast. We have a Patreon community that's really helped out other collectors in the collecting community. You can go to patreon.com/Pop Collectors Alliance and check that out. I recommend it because we have a restock tool that lets you know when items come available on Hot Topic or GameStop. That helps collectors out alone. And all the trades and the community that we've built over the past year and some change has been really good. So check us out there. And always, you can find our podcast by searching Pop Collectors Alliance wherever podcasts can be found.
Fantastic. And for us over here at Geek'd Up Radio, you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. Not on Facebook, though. But on Facebook, we are under TDMR Podcast. On Instagram, we're Geek'd Up_radio. And on Twitter, we're Geek'd Up Radio 1. And if you want to get in contact with us or just be part of the conversation, you can get a hold of us there. Or you can email us at geekdupradio@gmail.com. And, one thing, man. I'll let you do this since Lalo's not here. All right, so at the end of our shows, we always like to do a moral of the show. All right, so, Ricky, what is today's moral of today's show?
The moral of today's show. That's funny. Today's moral is there's nothing like the bond between a man and his horse.